What's that blue mask behind you? There's two of them.
This guy's like a.
Holy shit, that looks heavy.
So you put him on a stick.
Oh my god, it does move! Holy dude, that's.
You need the stick. It's really hard to do it, man.
Good lord, how many people were killed in creating that thing? Jesus.
I haven't finished him yet.
Hello and welcome to the first Hello Beautiful podcast. This is more or less a development diary or journal. We wanted to do this for our patrons who have been fantastic. We've got 32. But this is just kind of to show a little bit of what we're working on, what we're working towards, and then just to give you an update. So without further ado, let me introduce you to Bobby Case. Okay, let's just cut to the chase. What is Hello Beautiful? Two-part
Are you
question.
asking me? Because I have some listener questions too.
Oh shit! Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Which flees 23? She asked us which one of you is Hello Beautiful and which one of you is Poison Oaks, or is Hello Beautiful someone else? I'm confused.
They have not read up on the lore. We have a huge wiki that talks about this shit. Yeah, somebody get on that wiki. Can somebody actually write the wiki before this gets published?
Yeah,
That'd be
right.
great. No, which of us is Poison Oaks and which of us well, it's all
I
you.
think they're confused. Obviously, they're just confused.
So it's kind of like it's a hierarchy, I would think. Like that's the best way to
Yeah,
explain it, right? Hello Beautiful is the
although I disapprove of hierarchies in general, this is a hierarchy. Absolutely. Yeah.
right. It's like a stack of rocks with the heaviest rock on top, which is not a stable stack of rocks. I think hierarchy might be better in this regard.
That's the least stable configuration of
But
rocks you can have.
it's how we're starting, just unstable. So I'm a long time animator. Like I started in animation, went into game design or game development, and then was just chewed up and spit out like a bunch of gravel at the end. Bobby is still being devoured by the giant maw, but
Currently.
Bobby's producing nothing but freaking phenomenal art and music and just a real Renaissance piece of gravel. Real Renaissance chunks.
I'm a Renaissance gravel man.
I would love to work with you on anything. And Hello Beautiful became that anything in the start of 2025, like early 2025, I think. Probably first couple months.
Yeah, I think so. It was a variety show, what we originally envisioned. A live variety show,
Yeah,
like an
well, then
SNL.
it started before that then, because we were talking about the variety show. Was that 2024? I can't remember because when I did stand up,
Yeah. Actually, I think so. Yeah.
I got to check the freaking wiki whenever it gets written. I have no idea.
Yeah, because it originally was, we had the seed of a variety show, and I don't think we had the name yet, but like we knew we wanted it to be like, like a Letterman or SNL live show with puppets that took place in a universe in the future, like past all of the shit that we're in, like what happens after, like when in the best possible scenario, right? So like, what does the world look like in 10 years, 20 years, or whatever, if
Yeah,
everything went the best way, the best timeline, not the darkest timeline.
right. Everything, all problems were solved. We're past this moment of time. We've resolved everything. I think we're at the like where we are in 2026 is we're at the epicenter of that actually happening, that shift starting, which I'm very happy about. Um, but yeah, like it started there, and the puppets were a big part of it. Music was a big part of it. Like it was a variety show.
Hmm.
And then I gummed it all up and being like, hey, I think the Ripley's Believe It or Not, where you have science fiction, you're like, yeah, forget it. You're making it too complex.
It's incorporated though. It found its way back in.
It is all part of, yeah, it's just the mystery of the place, right? Like what is going on here? And so after the variety show and after we survived December 2024, you were already making videos for Heirloom Monsters.
Yeah.
So you were working on the joke. You had, I think there's 3 videos. Is that right?
There's two, and well, yeah, there's a couple they're not like video videos. They're more like meditations, like repeating pattern stuff. But yeah, so people ask for me to do music videos a lot, and that's I just kind of started saying yes a while back, and then I decided I was going to animate them, which is so much easier than filming or doing anything. It's like that, so I took that on.
When you would share with me the one from, it's the one where they redo the vehicle. I can't even remember the name of the song.
It's Kitchen Witches.
Like when you show me the early animations of the walk cycle and then them looting the garbage dump to find, and I'm like, that's freaking awesome out of the gate. Then you're like, here, I got this pretty much all done. I just wanted to show you this. I'm like, what the freak? You have like the underwater scene and you got the, I'm like, dude, what are you doing? This is amazing for like going from the joke to that. That was difficult. The joke was difficult to get out just to learn the thing. And then the next one, it's like, you know, I, uh, I managed to learn to swim across the pool, but the next one's going to be on the moon. So I got to figure out how to get on the moon in
Well,
three
you
weeks.
helped me on the joke because we were trying to figure out. I set up stupidly. I'd never done this before in this way, but like set up, in the studio, a green screen set up, like just big green sheets everywhere. And I didn't think about lighting as much as I should have. And so, we're stuck in a. Got a green background for sure, but full of shadows and like, what do you do with that? And it was so messy. Um, so I remember, yeah, you took on a whole bunch of stuff. Like you were grabbing stuff and figuring out how to key that and create mats for it. Because I was gonna blow up everything. I was done. I was like, I'm never making videos again. Um,
Well, they were great shots. The problem was that every shift of like where you move the camera, there was different shadows, so you had to segment it in order to do any kind of masking. And
yeah,
then once I got into the masking, like you're responsible for me getting that knee deep in DaVinci because I was using DaVinci just for making shorts and reels. And when I started bending masks, they were off like one frame. Like each one that I was making was off one frame. And I'm like, look at this effect. And you're like, will you just fucking green screen the thing for me? I'm like, no, take a look at this. Take a look what you could do here. And you're like, this is already a big pain in my ass. Will you get it done? And that was super early. But yeah, because it was January and it was the whole salute.
election.
Yeah, the whole like the inauguration thing. And then Kitchen Witches came what, March? April? That was not long
Yeah,
after.
yeah. Because I after that I just kind of like I realized that there was a lot of skills I was still trying to build and like procreate and brushes and whatnot. So I just kind of started doing that in the mornings. I did my morning sketches, and I was playing with color and like just so a lot of that just came out of like little sessions of sitting outside, in springtime and just like drawing and I just draw these and then I animate them. So I do these little animated segments, but they were all kind of, I mean, they were themed, but they were disparate, because I didn't expect it to be such a cohesive story. It was going to be kind of be like a little kind of a cohesive story inside a bunch of craziness. And somehow, like, I don't even remember doing it because at the end of it, I had this library of these little tiny animated segments, and that one ended up being not as hard to do. Like it because I just had that time that like I just because all time and space leaves me right. Like my if I once sometimes when I start focusing on something, I like to the detriment of everything else in my life for like 3 or 4 hours. Just like that's all I'm doing. I'm not answering the phone. I'm not like eating. I'm not doing anything.
I'm going to check your message before this podcast where you're like, almost, I'm trying to finish up a thing. I'll lose track of it and I don't get to the point. Like you were just like, I got to get this thing out.
It's a problem actually. But when it comes to like making animated videos, like that time is unaccounted for as far as I'm concerned. It just didn't happen. It was a void. So when I start piecing it together in Premiere, I'm like, I have all these pieces. I didn't know I had all these pieces.
I was very excited with the progress. I could not get over how much you were like evolving. And I'm like, please take me with you. I don't want to do YouTube shorts for the rest of my life. This is who I am now.
Though you jumped on and got faster at everything than me. Like I'll still be slaving away on one piece, and you'll be like, "I'm through with mine. Do you need help on yours?" And yes, please.
Well, the problem is I get excited and motivated by progress. And your progress is like, let me figure everything out and do it myself in 3 months. But for me, your progress is one new sketch or one new illustration. I'm like, I got it. I'll go, I'll take it from here. Cause I love that. Like, but you sent me one arm. No, it was Brody. It was Brody.
Oh
It was the
yeah,
Brody animation where you gave
because you took
me.
on that whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah, but basically the arms you gave me, like, he had a watch on one arm, but nothing on the other, and so I only animated the one arm, and I'm like, I just need other arms, and you're like, you can just flip it. Oh, freak yeah, you could just flip it.
The old mirror. Yeah.
Speaking of arms, I don't arms and hands. Your arms and hands are absolutely awesome. Like there's Don Bluth hands, there's Gendy Tartovsky hands. Like they are very gesture specific, very,
Hmm.
very descriptive hands. Your hands are right up there. And I'm like, how did you learn how to draw hands? Can you explain to the audience how you learned how to draw hands?
I mean, sort of. I worked on a project for several years where it was all based on hands. Like everything, the whole thing was based on hands. It was a medical thing for physical therapy for hands, and it's as you know, an artist and animator. Like that's the scariest thing that could be like your job now is doing hands, and I've never been able to do hands. Honestly, like my skill set, like it just I stopped doing visual art for a while, or like sketching and drawing for a lot of years, because it just like it was too hard, and I had other things to do, and I didn't really keep up on it. So it really was after doing that project for what's 3 years on that project. I had to make hands, like I had to and had to know like how everything worked because I had to like create the poses for hands for physical therapy, and so that had to be correct, like anatomically, or else, you know, that tutorial wouldn't work because no one knew how to use their hands that way. So I did a lot of like photographing my hands. I did a lot of videoing my hands. I did a lot of like just figuring out how hands work, and then I got to the point where I didn't need the photo reference anymore, and then I got to the point where I didn't even need the sketches so much anymore. I could just kind of like do them. So when we started animating, I was like, hands, I got this one, which is crazy because it's been the bane of my existence. I mean, feet, still don't have feet down, because I've never had a project where I had to do just feet. But maybe I'll have to take that on because
They're just short, stubby hands.
they're not though.
They are the same. They're the exact same. I will not hear it. No, but again, you're like when you get out of practice, it's hard enough to get back into it where you're like, oh, shoot, perspective and dimensionality and then making it look like it fits the character. But when I came in, I'm like, I can't get over how many hands you drew. So to learn how to draw your hands, I wound up drawing like overdoing hands where I was doing 22 poses, which you'd flip to be 44 different hands. And I'm like,
Right.
I'm not going to animate 44 different hands. What the freak am I doing? But I had to learn how to draw that style.
You got it. Yeah, you're
Getting there. Still working on lighting. Lighting has always been a freaking, you can tell, lighting's been always a problem for me. Even in film, I'm terrible with lighting. And when you're recording things on 8mm and VHS and you don't have good lighting, you suck at filmmaking. And that I learned that early, that I was not a very good at capturing lighting. But yeah, hands are awesome. Working into, as I said, their first illustrations of like, how do I get up to speed with what you're doing? So that's why I jumped onto Brody so quickly. I'm like, I have to learn all of this. You had already drawn like the pirates. You'd already drawn the background. I'm like, I'll parallax the shit out of it. Just trying to figure like, where's my value in it? By the time we got to Butch and Larry, which is, I think that's what put us on the map, is Butch and Larry. We had Brody, we had Freddie, we had a couple in the can. We had already started a process of like, here's a layer for eyes. Oh, and Truman as well. Those were two that really like nailed down the process.
yeah.
And now that I've got this, I'm like, I'm in that space of like, how can I complicate this more by adding more variables? Yeah, no. Again, your work on hands was just like you would never know that you were out of drawing for a while. So
Thanks. Yeah, I appreciate that.
And with one eye, no less. It's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, my depth perception is terrible.
It's
But that's
terrible.
why I do 2D now. I stopped doing 3D a while back because depth
That's
perception.
that's why it's so hard for me. You can only see in 2D. I have a
Yeah,
whole other D.
I
It's
wasn't
great.
born for it, but I developed it, I guess.
Now, like we talked a little bit about it, but the whole path to Hello Beautiful, like what brought you to the point of like work with a guy who can't formulate a sentence? But seriously, what brought you to Hello Beautiful in the first place?
Uh, well, I wanted to do puppets really bad. Um, I don't know. Like, I just thought that there was like, I just wanted to put together all the things that it's like you get to the point where, uh, at my age, you're gonna die soon. Uh, the world's gonna die soon. Just, just do the thing you want to do. Like, don't sit around and wish you were in a position to do it. It's like I love like live music. Right? I love live music. I love live comedy. I love puppet shows. I love anime. It's just like, okay, we'll stuff it all into one thing, and just make the and it, if that was advertised to me like this variety show that would happen like once a month or something in Portland, I'd be there every night, every single night that they're doing it.
I think that's still an end game. Like,
Yeah, I still want to do it. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, we're gonna die soon, so
thank you all here. We're all going to die soon. All right, good night, everybody.
me first.
Yeah, exactly. If anybody plans on dying beforehand, I got shotgun.
I got shotgun. That's dark. That's so dark. Just let's all just pass on this trauma for generations to come.
It's a good joke, though. Good lord. Remember when you used to have to find trauma like that? Like you'd have to be like, "Oh, what are you doing?" I'm like, "I got this traces of death or faces of death video." And you're like, "Oh, the
Yeah,
trauma. I get to pack that on." Now you're like, "What are you doing?" I opened Instagram.
yeah,
I didn't mean to. It's like
yeah. You had to hunt. You had to hunt. You had to know a guy who knew a guy to find trauma back then. Like,
you had to go to a psychotronic section at Movie Madness to like, what is the crazy bizarre stuff in here? Naked Lunch? That's child's play. Give me something hardcore. And you're like,
yeah.
this is too much.
I don't know if you ever went to Mucho Succo, but it was for some reason everyone I shared an office with back then was obsessed with it, and so I would come in like barely a sip of coffee in me, groggy, go to my desk, and they're just standing around a screen going, "Oh!" And of course, I have to walk over and see what it is, and it's like, oh my god, the worst of the worst. Like a pit crew, like one of the guys getting sucked into the tire of a. It was just like what, and then I have to relive that, and I still relive it. I still every once in a while I still think about that one pit crew operator. Fuck me.
Ogrish was the huge one that I remember.
Yeah,
And we still had like people on dial up, like Dreamcast era, 56K modems. Like you're not getting healthy streams. So Ogrish is already overloaded. Anyhow, so we would see this image and it would show up like one line at a time, like one section at a time. So it's like, that guy looks completely normal. He's totally normal. I wonder what's next. And that's
oh
completely
god,
normal. You're like, what? Like in my mind, it is like ungodly what's going to come down. Nope, it's still fine. You're like, what is happening? And then it reveals it and it still destroys all your preconceptions of like, that is the grossest thing I've ever seen. And now it's in there forever. That was early on. It's like levels of terror, but now our kids are like, just fire hose that. Like when my kids,
yeah, and beautiful 29.7 frames, 97 frames per second.
yeah. And before you're like, what happened? What happened to you today, daughter? She's like, nothing. And you're like, woo, she's modeling and whatever. Then you find out like 10 years later, she's like, yeah, I saw something I never should have seen on the internet. Like, there's no way I could have known she was at school. You were 10 years old. You didn't have a chance.
Oh god, poor kid.
So
Mm.
that's the road to Hello
Yes,
Beautiful, right?
that's what we're gonna be the next Ogrish. Yeah, Yeah, not as bad. Nothing was as bad as Lucho Seco or Ogrish. That was terrible. Um, but like with Freddy, that one felt urgent. And what the thing is, like, I if I don't have like a story, like a thing, I don't want to do the art form. Like the art form doesn't call to me. Like it's I'm a musician too, and if I don't have the thing, like the concept that's going to come out of that, then I just don't care. So I have to have the vision or like a storyline or like something that like really is eating at me. And at the time, I was getting really frustrated because like we're watching a Nazi just come right into the office and do Nazi stuff, and like what no one can do it. What like you could just do that? Like there's no one is gonna know what really you're just gonna let this out really. So it was like I felt like a kid like looking at it fresh, like without any of the ins and outs and all the oh it's complicated. It was like no, it's not complicated. You just let him do this. And so I was like, and in my head I was like my monologue my was Freddie. It was exactly like that, just like a kid. It was like just a teenager being like, whoa, I want to grasp this, but like what is happening here, like why are there Nazis? How come you're not doing anything, and I just that's how I felt, and I just tapped into like my inner teenager and was like, that's what I would have said back then too. And so I really wanted like to. It really was just going to be an address to Congress. It was like, hey, Congress. That's what it used to be called. Hey, Congress. It was like, hey, Congress. Like, what's going on here? And then I wanted to have like regular people. That's where the whole cast of like people that you were pulling from for like different things. They all have names and whatnot. They're all just random characters, but I wanted to have them just be like average citizens, being like, what I voted for this guy because of this. Like, what? No one said anything about just like they're dumbfounded, which is where a lot of we're at right now. Like, I didn't understand this, or I thought it was funny at first, but it not that you shouldn't have seen it coming all along the way, but like a lot of people did get duped, and I just felt like I wanted to I wasn't seeing it, and I wanted it to be a thing. I wanted it to happen, so I made it up. I animated it.
I'm regretting asking the question. I feel like my film studies teacher was a monkey's paw by accident because I took films of Nazi Germany in college. And I said, well, how can a society ever, like, why didn't they step in? Why didn't somebody shoot Hitler, right? I said that, like, in class. She's like, you're too young, but you'll understand. And, like, I think of that statement of, like, you'll understand, of, like, it's coming for you. It's almost like that Sam Raimi Drag Me to Hell, where the film teacher's like, you'll understand someday. Like, now I am.
Yeah, was she? Are you the reason this all started? Was
I'm sure of it.
she's
I mean,
teaching
I'm
you a
real.
lesson, and we're all having to fucking live in it?
We generate, we are the energy that generates the reality we're in. Now, listen, in my defense, I do not have enough energy to change everybody's ideology. I only have enough to change my own. If you got caught in my gravity, that just shows how weak you are. You need to have a stronger imagination than me. Don't put your weak imagination on me. But the angst of Freddy is also like when you mention his grandfather, like, or the weak people that didn't shoot the rabid coyote, but also watched the freaking History Channel and should know what
Yeah,
a Nazi looks like. Like
yeah,
that's our upbringing. Our upbringing was like, oh, like World Wars Two still happening? No, it's on the TV every night. I figured it was still happening. But yeah, you
right.
should know better than anybody what a rabid coyote looks like.
And they don't know what a rabid coyote looks like. They think it's a dog.
Like you came from the, I don't want to say boonies. I want to use the respectful term for what it is. I came from the sticks.
Yeah, it was the sticks. Yeah,
So I'm West Virginia, Pennsylvania. Like that's my heritage. But like I was raised by people like Butch and Larry, like you were. You were the creators of them. You were like, but that's who I was raised by too. Like did not like authority, did not trust politicians as far as they could throw them. Like had probably 3 or 4 run-ins with the cops, ran hooch most likely. And you're like, those are the people that educated us. And it's like, that's the sensibility we're trying to get back out of like the people that raised us, they went crazy, but their lessons live on in non-crazy people. Is that close?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, well, I mean, it was Kentucky. There was like there's a whole term for like there's the agricultural section of Central California, which is just it's all migrant workers and rednecks, and that's until you get to the very coast, and then it's like hippies and ex hippies or the small beach town people. But inland, it's just it's fields as far as you can see. It's everyone works in something manual labor. That's it. That's what you do. That place was founded from Oklahoma, like people leaving the Dust Bowl. So where I grew up, half the town had the same last names. Like dude, like there was three last names you'd hear everywhere because these are the families that have been there. They founded the place. Um, and so it was like libertarians. It was like a lot of people who didn't vote. And then a lot of people that voted Republican because they were racist or they it was like the respectable thing to do. Otherwise you're going to be seen as some sort of freak hippie. And that's the last thing you want. So like that was kind of my family members were all old Republicans and like FBI agents and came from different you know military backgrounds and whatnot, and they they were wrong in a lot of ways, but like they were also like we also would gather every day at the auto shop, that's and my uncle Butch, which is Butch is named after him, would have everyone come in after five. We called it after five, and when I was like 16 or 17, I got to go to after five and go and sit with the rest the adults, and my Butch would give me you know Jack Daniels in a little red cup, and we'd all sit around the table. And my dad was a hyper liberal, amidst the sea of red, and they would sit there and they would fuck with each other and laugh with each other and like talk about like, and my dad would get passionate about a subject, and they would like, okay, and they would talk it through. Generally, a lot of times agree to disagree at the end of it, but like there was just not that it was great, but like there was a certain civility and a respect for other people that they had, and I always really appreciated that, and like I was a radical from fucking birth, like I did not buy into any of this shit. So you know Butch, you would think didn't know it, but he was curious. He always asked me questions. He asked me like, well, what do you feel about this? And you would like probe because he really wanted to know where I was coming from. And sometimes he'd be like, that's a really good point. I never thought about it that way. And he also did similar things for me. And that, like we weren't going to agree completely at all, but we were going to like find some common ground and both like appreciate each other's point of view and be curious. That's the one thing. Like instead of talking, man, people would shut up and ask questions, or ask questions and then shut up. And I miss I miss that a little bit. I don't want to be nostalgic about it because there were so many bad things there as well. But we can. I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. That was really nice. Just no one was killing each other over this shit or you know resorting to.
Why are you putting on that ice vest? Like, why are you like choosing to be like, well, Kamala would have been at brunch by now? I'm like, why do you like? I'm curious to be like, why do you think that would fix things? Why do you think immigrants are the problem? But the other side, like the other side of the conversation, I'm not saying left, right, whatever. The other side of the conversation is just not. There's no curiosity. And what I do take out of your childhood story, um, my dad used to take me to the bar. I used to go to the bar after hockey practice. Like I'd go to hockey practice and all the kids would go to the Yugoslav club and we would just play pool there. And the parents would drink and get drunk enough just to drive us home. Like, but that's what I was brought up in, right? Because they were steel workers. Like my whole family was either building bridges or like still pouring cement, like involved with the criminal enterprise, right? Like that's who I grew up around. And exhibit A is like, well, we used to hang out at a bar. 12 years old. I was washing dishes in a bar. Like, whatever. It's like, yeah, but you get to hear a lot of conversations. You get to see a lot of people, like you're saying, have conversations. Now, my dad was very, very much a conversational bully because he was loud and he was very, very boisterous and he was a big guy. And so he controlled a lot of the conversation. And when somebody, and he was also fucking funny as hell. So he could put somebody in his place in three different ways. So I would just used to idolize my dad until I realized, like, oh shit, his ideas suck. And me having to come, like, realize, like, oh shoot, it's impossible to have a conversation with somebody who like that, who's on the other side. Um, yeah. And so that's why I'm just like, there's the only way to settle that, the only way to get that curiosity out of the other side, the only way to do it is by approaching it completely like as soft as possible. Just like the Zen master, just like knocking punches out of the way. You're like, well, we both have the same problems. The problems are this, right? Like, you want a better future for your grandchildren. You want it, whatever. It's like you have to soft up into it because you can't fight their vitriol with vitriol. It just won't work.
No,
And so that's where like Butch and Larry just threw insult through the what not Guildenstern or Rosencrantz. Why am I always screwing up those two Muppets? Statler and Waldorf. Well,
there you go.
Statler and
Yeah,
Waldorf. Those guys just diffuse situations. They're like freaking hilarious. Like at the end of a bit, you're like, oh, here we go. What are those two going to say? Butch and Larry just very much like comic relief, just, but they are at their hearts are like still curious of like, I mean, freaking Larry still plays PlayStation. He's playing, he
there.
knew what Last of Us reference for God's
Oh
sake.
yeah, 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 yeah.
It's like a cordyceps.
A what?
A cordyceps. It's a fungus, like the video game.
I don't play video games.
Totally. And the thing with them is like you. I just really wanted. You could tell that they've been friends for a long time, and they've like talked about everything under the sun, and they know where each other comes from, and they generally agree with each other. So that they just kind of like, okay, well now we're a unit. So now we just let's start like probing the anyone who walks up the steps here. Is gonna get a dose of us, and you know, they're they're dear to me. Like so, they're important. They the way they view the world and the way they in just like the most basic non bullshit terms. Like you just take all the bullshit out of the way and just say just the most intelligent and the most simple and the most right way to be. They're just gonna cut right to it. They're anything else is bullshit. You know.
And their experience is so vast and deep. Like from the donkey show that they were doing in the Navy, like they've got a very vast well of like experience that they can draw from. And that's the other thing. A lot of people aren't curious because they've never seen anything outside their own, back door or own neighborhood or own city. They're kind of all siloed without experience. And so they think their way is the way everybody should be. Butch and Larry, Brody, like we were just building these like as autonomous, animations for shorts and like how can we build something out from it? It's just like I'd almost say doodle sketches of like what could be. And it's like, you know what? Oh, well, we can make a whole town of that and then disrupt it, right? By adding some other variable. Like, let's just say a new development comes into town or some kind of data center comes into town. And like that conversation we had about how Poison Oaks works, talking about world building. And then we're just on the phone. I'm like, well, yeah, it's real simple. You just do these things and you just tie it together like this. And we're like, we had built like so much of this in my mind where we are today, that phone call, it just tied
Yeah.
everything we were working on, just like seamless, like
It. I gotta correct you though. It was one evening at the bar.
go for it. I like bar stories are great. It's part of my childhood. Tell me.
I think that's when it hit. Like that's when we were both just sitting at the bar having drinks in front of the fireplace or the fire pit thing, and you and we just kind of like what like just built it like in a an hour span of time. In fact, it was probably the first 15 minutes we really nailed it, and like we both just no obstructions, no obstacles, anything. It just kept going, and then we like worked it out all the way through like season one, like out of nowhere, and it was like a an avalanche. There's nothing that could have stopped that, and it was beautiful. It was amazing. And I think ever since then, when we talk about arcs and seasons and storylines, we're just on totally on the same page, which is
Yeah, 100%. Like we were completely like that. Yes, yeah, absolutely. And again, the arc is freaking phenomenal. Like I love season 1 arc, but we've got 2 and 3 already like based on these supplemental conversations. And again, like the character development of like I don't know how we're going to do it. I get to this road like block where I'm like I don't know what to do. We have a conversation or we meet up and you're like, well now we need a politician. I'm like, oh
yeah.
yeah, you're right. We do. We can keep adding characters. Like, there's no like, if we need something, we'll just add it in. And so then we have this whole other now thread to drive through, and it's freaking awesome. This whole world building exercise has been great, just for my psyche alone, because I get sucked into, you know, like spirals of depression watching like Instagram or YouTube or Reddit or whatever the heck it is, and you're like, there's no hope. But as I'm building and having these conversations and finding new characters, like I get lost in this world building exercise. It's been phenomenal.
Yeah, you've really run with that one. Like you were actively documenting the world and building it out. While I was, I'm still focused on these little shorts, just these conversations, and that's I can that just word like I had a point I want to make, so I want to have two people talking about it, and so I'll get sucked into that. And meanwhile, you're like out there, you're actually documenting, the history of the place and like how it started, and you're world building to a micro degree, which is great because you just to have that, but it all makes perfect sense. But it's great. It's like I feel like this world is like actively taking place while I'm focusing on other stuff sometimes.
Well, here's the thing. Like I'm from Western Pennsylvania. Like we had steel. Like it was Pittsburgh was a steel town, and Bobby here's from Kentucky, and they had like agriculture, coal, and so I'm like, okay, what would be in this area? And I was just leaning on steel until I'm like, well, let me just do a little bit of this world building. And before you know it, I'm 300 million years in the past on how the freaking, I'm like, all right, like, so how does this form? And I'm like, what the fuck am I doing here? There's like dinosaurs, and I'm like, there's like volcanoes exploding. I'm like, I didn't even know how I got here, but I learned how coal was formed, and I'm like, holy cow, that answers that problem. And that path took me down this entire road I never would have explored had I not like I was just coal or steel, and just figuring out backwards like how coal is formed. I'm like, okay, it's coal. Now I'm like, I've got this wealth of information that I got to plug in there. I hate to even tell you what I found out about Oregon. Like, you do know,
Oh,
like the largest, I think you do, the largest organism on Earth lives
oh,
under
yeah,
Oregon. Like,
yeah.
what the? Wait a minute, time out. Like,
That's gonna play a role. That's got to
yeah.
play a role. You know it. He's still in the forest. It's Paul Stamets. Common Side Effects was kind of loosely based on him as the mushroom guy, and so he's most of his work takes place in Northern California and Oregon, and you know he's exactly what you expect a mushroom specialist to be like and look like, but he's great. He's fantastic. I do believe he discovered that organism in Oregon, and also the whole concept of how forest communicates, like how like trees can communicate with each other through mycelial networks and come to aid of a tree that's going down, because one goes down, it weakens the whole group. And so the way trees work are like uh, you know a great example of society. It's how one goes down and then we're all at risk.
Yeah, we're all weaker.
Yeah, not this sort of like sacrificial herd mentality where like 25% of them will get eaten on the outsides, but at least the insides will win. It's like, no, trees don't play that. Trees are like, one goes down, we're fucked. So let's keep them all together. And I love that. I love trees. I love that about trees.
You love that trees are trees.
I love that trees are trees. The thing is, like what you're saying before, is like these rabbit holes. That's one of my favorite side effects of doing this um, is because of the rabbit holes. It's like I want to explore something like with Shay in the service industry, right? Not the funniest sketch. I don't know if anyone watched that one, but I liked it because I had to like, I was like, what's the service industry? It's broken. It's completely broken now. We all know it's broken. It can't afford itself. It can't sustain itself. It runs on this weird fucking system of tips. Why is it not sustainable? Is it? And then I started looking at food costs and like what they have to for markups and like what's happening here. And then I was like, okay, well, tipping. Well, that's a whole other fucking thing. The tipping culture. And then you explore tipping culture, and it goes back and back, and like everything else we follow, it ends up with slavery and racism, and like that one was a direct line. I was like, holy shit, can you fucking believe it? Like, of course it's slavery and racism, and I just, because of that, I'm like, that's a that's better than going to school to learn something. It's just is like having a point that you're really 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 curious about, and then find out that it's just connected to this whole system. And then you start to see that everything is like this giant network that's moving forward, and carrying all this old baggage with it. And like, then you see it popping up in all these other places. You're like, oh, well, like, oh, that's also slavery. Oh, that's also slavery. And it's like, no one has to tell you this. You just do the research and connect it. And you just see how it's all carrying this giant load of fucking racism and slavery. And I know that now, and I can't unknow that. I see it in everything, every single, like, you did the same thing with the IQ tests,
Right. It's like how you check your math. If you're doing American research on history, as long as it ends up in slavery, you are correct. Because it always it's like factoring back to zero.
Like, wait, this ends in doll manufacturing. Okay, I can take it further. Then I'll get to, okay, I got it. It's fine. Math is correct. But if it like peters off and just is like some guy like dolls, then it's probably wrong. It's not. That's not the history
Right.
of American.
The IQ test, because that was hot and heavy on the news, got that thing out. Heck, we were doing topical news things. You did the elevator repairman, which was freaking great. Like these one-offs. But yeah, like I was started with one thing and wound up with a totally different, just by doing research, a totally different thing that led back to racism. Then I'm like,
Yeah.
good Lord, how many more are there? And they're like, all of them, every one of them.
That's when you decided to call it the racist antiques, because it was like, you can't just say oddities or whatever. It's got to be, okay, they're all racist, so it's got to be racist antiques all the way down.
Yeah, well, we started with like what we knew, like, oh, cream of wheat and Aunt Jemima. These all are freaking, like, that's on the wall behind us right now. Like, these are the things that we're talking about. It's like how, like, we know those things, right? But then, like, how are mentholated cigarettes? Like, everything is nefariously connected to like systems of
Depression. Yeah.
taking advantage of marginalized groups.
Yeah.
And like exploiting them and whatever. I'm like, ah, shoot.
I can't wait to hear the Philip Morris story. You should,
dude, that one's crazy. That one is freaking. That one's bonkers. Okay, you got me going. I will work. That's the next one I'm hitting out.
Hold on 1 second. I get the cat down in here.
Okay, got it.
Go on.
Get out of here, you damn cat.
Go on, get.
You don't belong in here. This is for
Not
daddy's dolls. You're gonna break my 3D figurines. Get out of here, you.
He's gonna just come and push him right off the desk.
Listen, that is a perfect end. Like we can wrap it up, but that is a good podcast. We got a good hour of that.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's hard to believe that you and I can talk for an hour with no problem, and me not get to a point. That's crazy. So that was one of one. The next one there's going to be, hopefully we'll see the response, but there may be one of two or two of two. Not sure. But what did you think of that one, Bobby?
That was great. It was, I think, once, because we're talking about like, we got listener responses, questions. So, because just, I feel like we're filling in some of the lore, some of the beginnings of this. But I love it once you get past that hurdle and then you start moving into new stuff, like what's currently happening or like things we're wrestling with. That's interesting, because that all takes a backseat for it. But
We're going to get there. So the first thing is this, like we've got people who are engaged on Patreon right now. We've got people who are engaged on social media right now. It's like when Behind the Bastards was on YouTube, they had like 12 views.
mm,
But now it's a channel for them. I feel like this will be like a vehicle for that. So like we get this stuff out of the way. You're like, hey, you want to learn about us? Check video 1, video 2, video 3. You can walk up to where we are today, like how we started and where we are at. And I think as we start moving more into process, that's going to bring in a different audience.
yeah.
And if it doesn't work, I'll pull it down. I'll pull this motherfucking thing right down.
I'll have to burn this whole goddamn shit down.
I'll turn this goddamn station wagon around, go back to the Yugoslav Club.
We're white. I have a beard. Like a podcast is probably inevitable. So this would be the first one that I started. I've been on, guests on other ones.
I got a summons that I had to do a podcast. They're like,
You got a summons?
yeah, it was a court-ordered
yeah.
summons that said I'm a white dude and I have not done a podcast in 10 years, then I could go to jail.
It's the new administration. Yeah, they got a thing.
So now
They're
they're going to
open
be
for
like,
that.
there's not enough racism in your. I'm like, did you not see what we talked about? We said the whole thing's racism.
Oh, thing's racist. Yeah.
They're like, no, you're being anti-racist. We went the
Well, which one is it, man? You want racism or not?